Okay. Good morning. I speak more slowly. This is my first presentation in English. Forgive me about that. And so today I presented 2 points of view about this debate. Political engagement with the community and the historian's performance. So political engagement first. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. On political engagement, well, Brazil is presently deep in a divided political arena with discourses that frequently stretches tolerance limits during and after presidential elections. Unfair practices have weakened democracy, exaggerations, attempts to undermine democracy, the media, judicial activism, silence artists and scientists, and showing political anger. These actions took place in September 2022 and January 2023. The main question is, how do the Ukrainian communities and historians react to the political discourse or speeches? We know that speech involve both rational and emotional things. From this perspective, I analyzed Jair Messias Bolsonaro's and Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's mentions of the war in Ukraine. This led me to develop educational activities in participating in cultural events with Ukrainian communities in Brazil. The war in Ukraine received little coverage in the Brazilian press and was supported by the Bolsonaro and Lula governments. However, initiatives such as hosting scientists in Paraná and publications and positions against Russian aggressions motivated us toward political activism. For instance, Bolsonaro used the war to circumvent environmental law and defend mining in Amazonia forest. He neither showed solidarity or acknowledged the massacres in Ukraine, such as city of Bucha, despite not respecting Ukrainian independence. He accepted refugees in Brazil. He remained complicit with the Moscow regime and did not condemn the Russian invasion and expressed concerns over potential disruptions in agricultural fertilizers imports. Bolsonaro suggests that Ukraine should capitulate. Well, Lula used the war to create an image of Brazil neutrality. Lula didn't show solidarity with the Ukrainian and supported the Russian invasion. He condemned Zelensky for the war in Ukraine and praised Putin's peace plan. It's unfortunately, but he said that war could be solved in public with a beer. Oh, why do this? This reason for these political positions are the populism of Bolsonaro and Lula, radical ideologies with faces threats. These discussions stimulates the feeling of Brazilians, special feelings of intolerance. The exalted nationalism of the figures of the mystical leaders, control of the media and the judiciary, censorship, militarism, and persecution of political enemies. This is happening in Brazil. The enemy is the other who doesn't agree with me. Come back to this. Regardless of their political tendency, these speeches reveal political indifference to the situation of Ukrainian and their descendants in Brazil. Many people and politicians defend democracy and support regimes that engage in human rights violations and crimes of war. In these intolerance and speeches, there is political manipulations of emotions with abuse of sensitive and ideological themes. In Brazil, few historians debate political activisms around the war in Ukraine. Therefore, some public historians are deniers. They defend a Leninist political ideology and claim that the Holodomor, the Great Starvation between 1932 and 1933, did not exist. In addition, there is a phobia toward the American and NATO. It is essential to say that the cultural exchange between Brazil and Ukrainians favor different point of views on Ukrainians' war. These point of view are diverse if we consider the age of groups of the public. So I carried out actions with audiences using the practice of curation and sharing writing. I was able to move between school, museum, and universities and carry out interviews, debates, text production, and performance art. Political activism in Brazil offers an insightful lens through which to analyze the uses of the past and the speeches to promote intolerance. The simplified approach to political activism and growing populism can put democracy in risk. From the point of view of the public history, community discussion about the war in Ukraine and our government position were essential. On performance now. So, isn't it intriguing how political activism involves different age groups and public spaces? Political activism implies that our relationships with time from childhood through adulthood is a societal experience that affects how we engage in society. From an early age in elementary school, individuals engage with public life, expressing concerns about events. Thus, the essence of political activism is interwoven into the daily lives, impact every age group. I begin with this fundamental principle without forgetting rational and sentimental elements. But how can we identify the levels of political activism in the community? How can we explore these levels of actions? In our historical practice, we try understanding the community's political activism levels and develop collaborative activities. In this case, the performance is provoking and causes response for the audience. In its ways on relevant history, lively and vibrant. This year, I carried out various activities with audiences. On International Women's Day, elementary school students at Cruz Machado City discussed the Women's Day struggle in Ukraine. They engaged with the poem Mother I Swear, Wycinanki activities for Mother's Day. Wycinanki is a Polish art with paper and scissors, and drawing about the war in Ukraine. The discussions focusing on effects of the war and education, and Brazil's positions concerns the conflict. It was incredible, and the activities demonstrate the students' knowledge and familiarity with the events in Ukraine. It is important to remember that I use drawing, photography, and poems to bring the events of the war to life. I understand the performative acts, however small, humanize the story and sensitize people. This way, public history transforms the past into immersive experience, deepening the public's understanding. I exhibit intolerant speeches during National Museum Week in May. At the Polish Immigrant Museum, I offered edible cookies so that visitors could express their feelings in words, in short words of editable art were created that resounded aspiration for a fairer and more harmonious world. The idea was to consume messages of peace, of tolerance, believing in the performative power that culture and solidarity can at certain times of conflict and human rights violations. I discussed public history and communities engagement at the Computerized Museum in June. I invited Ukrainian Katerina Hritskovska to recite the poem Mother Isis War. The teenager is daughter of Lesia Zolota, a Ukrainian scientist who settled in Ponta Grossa, city of Ponta Grossa, Paraná, state in Brazil. At Paraná state government program for refugees. This performance, which delighted the audience, resulted in a video clip made by Communication Department of the State University of Ponta Grossa. It was an incredible event that brought together scientific and Ukrainian communities members. I interviewed Zolota, and can I read something, words of them, of her, excuse me. I was born and lived in Ivano-Frankivsk until 2013. In 2013, for family reasons, I moved to Sumy. There, I developed as a scientist, defender my doctoral thesis, and worked as a professor of intellectual property law at Sumy State University. I also asked as a forensic expert at the National Center, Boccarius Institute of Forensic Expertise. The war catch up with us at home. Sumy was under occupation from day one. My family and I realized that living in the city was just as dangerous as staying home. But our house has basement and risk walls, so we definitely know we would be protected. It was a scary time, especially for the children, as they hadn't seen life yet. We constantly heard explosions, and the enemy's planes flew over our house day and night. After the occupants left our town, we went for Ivano-Frankivsk to Germany. I started looking for a place to work there and find a program run by Araucaria Foundations to host Ukrainian scientists. After some time, I sent my documents and received a reply from Professor Roenel Rezende Lima Miranda from the University of State Ponta Grossa. Of course, I had many doubts, but they quickly disappeared. About community Ukrainian in Paraná, he said, I'm very grateful to the Ukrainian community in Paraná. These people make me feel at home. At the same time, I realize how much work they do to be part of their homeland, preserve traditions, and pass them of the future generations. While I was here, I heard people born in Brazil say they live with Ukrainian in their hearts. Imagine that. It's incredible to touch my soul, he says. Go back to the test. In addition, Goulart and I studied the political interventions in the historical reenactment that Poltava folk group brought to the stage in Curitiba, Paraná, capital of the state of Paraná, Brazil. During the war in Ukraine, the group's repertoire was politically influenced, excluded Russian musical references. In Brazilian context, in which history is challenged and democracy is weakened, political activism is a powerful tool. It can challenge political discourse, reshape our understanding of the present time and stimulated that public think. By bringing story to life, I share the space and working with the public. Story can be public memories and reinforce democratic values. It is delightful to see that actions with communities bring unexpected results. These are experiences that show us the importance of art and communication educations. In this sense, public history raises people's awareness and promotes change based on effectivity. By making the past accessible and relevant, public histories educates and encourages political activism. Right now, we need informed and engaged people. This perspective helps to make the world more just and inclusive, regardless of borders, cultural distinctions, or governmental viewpoints. Public histories and political activism play a fundamental role in advance democracy. In this way, in our actions, we defend tolerance and respect for the difference between peoples. I'm deeply grateful for these opportunities, working alongside a team of dedicated and competent historians and mentored to me. Thank you very much.